He asked me to do this other thing called Twitter DJ, where every track you play is broadcast on your Twitter page. For me, I'm not really into that because for me, DJing should be a bit of a mystery, you know. I don't really want to know I don't really want to know every record that my favourite DJ's playing. I want to go and listen to that DJ and hear those records because he's his choice rather than. Don't get me wrong, I listen to live sets and I've like had ideas and taken, discovered loads of music through that way. But I think, there's something. For example, I speak to Craig Richards and he's been DJing for years and he's always tells me the story of, back in those days, before digital, before the internet, if you wanted to hear a record, you'd have to go and hear that DJ. He's the only one in the world that you probably could ever hear that record. You had no idea what it was. You'd maybe heard him play and you had to wait 6 months before the line. And all the time they'd play a lot of those records and that's the only time you could hear that record. Now the world's different, the internet, everything like that. But there was something about that mystery and mystique about, for example, when they printed white labels, there was only 10. I remember when I first used to get promos from Black Market in London and I knew there was maybe 20 and I would get there early and I'd, managed to get the 2 of these white labels that were sold. And because I knew the guy in the shop and I was like, you'd be the only person with that record pretty much for like 4 months, and it's brilliant.
You go through doors and you follow characters, and then they disappear, and you follow another character, and but no one's talking, and everyone has masks. It's really cool, intense, but really, really creative and amazing. Yeah, I learned a while ago. I have to, traveling this much and working so hard, you have to take care of your body. So I'm a vegetarian. I only drink when I take breaks. When I need to take break from everything, I take breaks, and I take a few months off in the winter and really exercise. And trust me, this is a recent thing. For many years, I was the complete opposite. I was like, yes, more of everything, but now I'm a bit older, and it's time to take care of everybody now.
Amy, your labels, tell us a bit about your labels, because in the last year they've become kind of a real zeitgeist, almost definitive, cool, so many people following them. Tell us a bit about how you're managing that and the expectations that come from that.
Yeah, basically the whole concept of what I'm doing at the moment is Hot Natured. It's sort of the main name. Came about in Miami 3-4 years ago, when it was myself and Lee Foss as another artist from Chicago, who was mainly based in Los Angeles. And it was on the Monday after all the parties had closed, and we were just back at his apartment listening to lots of early 80s based funk disco records, and realizing that after a week in Miami, and I'm sure most of you have been there, you just listen to so much house and techno music, we just needed a break. So we came up with the concept of just this kind of more eclectic sound, and we started putting parties on in Miami and decided to start a label from it, with the ethos of just being completely open to any kind of anything, techno, disco, whatever. If we're into it and we feel that we can play it or support it, then we put it out. A bit like what Damien's been doing in a way, but maybe a bit more on the soulful funk or disco side of things. And yeah, it's just kind of grown from the parties. I think it was a little bit refreshing for a lot of people, because we did, I didn't know that many disco parties in Miami until that point. On the first one Damien played, and we played everything from, God, I don't even know, from Wham to every kind of record, and it went down. There was a lot of people from our scene and industry people then. It just worked really well. So, and since then, yeah, we started the label Hot Creations, which was focused on original music by artists, and it was going not even 6 months, and we were in the top 20 labels on Resident Advisor with like four or five releases or something, and just really good. We signed some amazing artists this year, and we kind of look at ourselves a bit more than just a music label. There's 3 labels. There's Hot Natured Re-Rubs, which is based on disco edits and pop edits and stuff, which we only put out on vinyl, and then Hot Creations, which is new artists, new music, any kind of stuff really. And then I've just started a new one called Hot Waves, which is a quarterly compilation of of mainly digital. We do put out a vinyl sampler with the 3 or 4 best tracks, but it's 10 or 12 digital tracks, mainly from artists who haven't maybe got a strong enough EP to go on Hut Creations.
Four compilations a year is quite a big commitment though, isn't it?
Well, it is, but we've got so much music. I mean, I've just put the first one out, and already I've nearly filled up the second one, because there's just so many people are making music these days, and you know, if you spend the time to look for it, and we get sent so much. And the cool thing is, it's, you know, with digital, the good thing is you can put tracks out that you know.
Because I was in the middle of nowhere, but persuaded my mum to get me a pair of decks when I was for Christmas one year, and started buying records at the local store, and then just, you know, taught myself how to mix, kept on putting on little parties in my local youth club and rugby club, and that was when I was about 15, 16. And it was really weird, because I remember my first proper gig that I got a year later was in a club in the city about 10 miles from me. But I never played on Technics, so I came to play on Technics and I just could not mix at all. I was like just sweating. I had like a huge box full of records. I just couldn't play. It was just a complete disaster. It's still probably the worst gig ever.
Working with Damien, I've known Damien for a while, and you know, he's a very innovative person. He's got a lot of ideas. We're completely different as DJs, but you know, I love what he does, and it's hard to put him in a box. I think that's the good thing, you know. Whenever anyone asks me what style of music you play, it's very hard for me to say it, let alone anyone else. And I think that's good, because you know, I could, you know, like as him as well. We could play like an electro record, a rolling techno record, a deep house record, you know, sort of a more soulfully deep record, anything that works really to make the party vibe good, I guess.
Is like the mecca of, you know, breaking a record. If you can get, you know, Jamie Jones to play your record on this at DC10, you're sorted basically these days.
It's one thing I want to say as well. It's quite difficult. The gap between Miami and the summer. For example, this year I signed a couple of things that, you know, are hopefully going to be really big summer anthems. And as soon as if we play them, like there's one by a guy called Danny Days that I signed just in Miami. He's a guy from Miami, and you know, Seth and I were both playing it at every party in Miami. And then obviously Damien and everyone seems to be wanting this record now, and it's because of the way the internet and everything's going on. There's so many people out there. As soon as they find out what it is, they want it there and then. And it's so difficult to hold it back for the summer, because you still want people to be playing it every week in the summer to make it, take it to that next level. Yeah. And just finding the right time to release it and to give it to the right DJs is such a strategy.
Yeah, we've actually just
tonight, like, it's the event that sold out the fastest of the whole season. It's one that we're hugely excited about as well. What sort of thing can we expect from your set tonight?
I've just got a lot of new music. I try and cater it for. I wouldn't say for the bigger room, because you know, the sound's good there. You can keep it groovy. I mean, you know, I've got a lot of new stuff from various producers that I love, and you know, I'll probably throw in a few sort of old house records. Like I just kind of play it by ear. I never really plan it. Just whatever I sort of. When a record's playing, I'll think of the next one. Sometimes I'll look at a playlist or whatever, or look through my tunes, and something will grab me. But most of the time, I actually just, a tune pops into my head and I play it. And if it works, great. And if it's all right, then I'll mix it out quickly. You know.
I've spent the last 2 years really keeping a low down and just really working hard and developing a sound that's you know, not anything in particular. There was a big minimal insurgence in the scene over the last 3 years where, you know, it was really stripped back, really serious, and that's personally not what I'm from. I'm from a musical background of all types of music, you know, from dub, reggae, hip hop, soul, funk, everything. and to be able to incorporate all those sounds into what we're doing and really push it is been something important to me. So now it's really coming through. So, you know, the people, myself and the people in my crew, we can really, you know, literally play a disco record, a really good house record, a techno record, and in any set, and people aren't surprised or wary of it because it's something, it's a sound, it's a general sound of just quality dance music that's been, you know, we've been sort of pushing for the last 2 years. So yeah, just more of that really, more, you know, there's no real rules to it. It's disco edits, it's disco samples, it's really deep chuggy tunes, it's, you know, something that's a bit edgy and moody, whatever. But I've got some really good artists coming through, Lee Foss, Robert James, yeah, a couple of really good DJs that have come on board recently. And of course we're pushing all this sound in DC10, etc.
How important would you say globally is Ibiza for breaking new records?
Massive. It's Ibiza still for me is, you know, especially for artists and records. If you have a record that's played all summer in Space, in DC10, in Amnesia, and it can really take an artist to the next level. You just have to look at people like Luciano, Sven Bethel, Cocoon Brand. You know, I mean, I was going to Cocoon in the early 2000s, and I saw it from the moment that people started. I think it was a lot to do with maybe when Manumission stopped becoming so popular and people started actually going to Cocoon. They just skyrocketed, and it's purely because of what's going on here. You just have to think of how many people come here over the summer, seeing the billboards, going to the pies, hearing the music. It's just then transports over the whole world. So
features is vintage mode, where you can switch from the MPC 3000 sound to the MPC 60. The Renaissance is really cool because it does give you that sort of old school punch. I spent the majority of the summer in Ibiza, as I do every year. It was the second year of my own party called Paradise at DC10 every Wednesday. It was an amazing summer. We really built on what we started last year. God, I must have done 50 festivals over the summer. So I mainly played festivals over the summer. So yeah, just touring around and generally having a blast. Next is some studio time finally, obviously travelling as much, working on a couple of EPs, spending some time at home in the studio here, and maybe playing with my Akai Renaissance.
Thank you very much to Hot Natured, Lucas C, Lee Foss, Jamie Jones, and Annabelle England. Thank you very much. Have a great night.